So hi, I'm good, and I'm going to show you how Ignite works. So there are 5 status ailments that are caused by damage, just general damage. There's Stun, Ignite, Chill, Freeze, and Shock. But I'm just going to cover Ignite and kind of introduce you to a couple of the elements of how elemental status ailments work. So first off, the only way to cause an elemental status ailment, like Ignite here, is with a critical hit. But there are ways of getting around the fact that you need a critical hit to cause an Ignite. Like there are some gems, like this quality added lightning damage gem, give chance to shock. And I have chance to ignite. There's a specific gem for it which gives 34% chance to ignite. And the chance is actually rolled per enemy. So if I hit a bunch of enemies, I can pretty much guarantee that one of them is going to be ignited. Like, yeah, pretty much every fireball I throw, if I can hit a couple enemies, will cause an ignite. With crits, it doesn't work that way. Crits aren't rolled per enemy, they're rolled per cast. So this could be a fireball crit, or it's not going to be a fireball crit. And in fact, it can never be a fireball crit because I have Resolute Technique. So, Ignites, kind of strange, because you can ignite guys for pretty much no damage. Like this Firestorm, for instance, will ignite enemies. It does fire damage. I have it linked to chance to ignite and elemental proliferation, so it spreads around. You can kind of see the effect, but they don't really take any damage. Like I could spam Firestorm all day, and even though I can ignite guys, the damage is going to be pretty atrocious, pretty much non-existent. And yeah, so how does the damage on Ignite work? Well, the damage on Ignite is based off of the initial hit. So the hit that causes the Ignite, that damage that the enemy took, that's going to that's the basis of the burn, or of the Ignite damage over time effect, which does burn damage. So if I hit enemies with a really strong hit like Fireball, you can see they take some damage. Maybe not a whole lot, I don't really have much here, and these guys are kind of resistant to fire. But they at least take some damage, and you can kind of see that. So Ignite has a base duration of 4 seconds, and it deals a third of the initial hit damage per second for 4 seconds. So, if you do use an Ignite-based build, if you hit once, you're effectively doing twice as much damage if you cause an Ignite, which is why Ignite's actually really, really strong. It's really strong if you scale it up really well with things like Shock and lowering resistances. I've done a couple builds that kind of exploited that fact. But the initial hit damage on Ignite has to be quite high to make it make sense. Because if I just spam cast, I can pretty much out damage the Ignite damage. But with elemental proliferation, it gets pretty interesting. So elemental proliferation and Ignite are pretty interesting because all fire damage has a range of damage. So, say I have, this fireball does 240 to 350. If I ignite multiple enemies, the ignites stack, but only one of them ever does damage. And the damage the enemy takes will be based off the highest damage ignite that happens to any of the enemies that are hit by multiple ignites. So, if, say, I fired a fireball into a crowd and ignited 5 enemies, the damage is rolled randomly per enemy. So, effectively, I can always guarantee a high or near top end fire damage roll for my initial hit. So the Ignite DOT is going to be much higher if I cast into groups like that. And that's kind of why, for some skills, like if you're using a Burning Discharge build or my old Fire Trap build, it's why the only damage I cared about for the fire damage wasn't the average damage, but only the top end, because only the top end mattered, because on average, if I ignited 4 enemies, I would always be, one of those ignites would pretty much be guaranteed to be near the top end. So, that's kind of Ignite, how it works, and I'll see you in the next episode.